Hello there.
Yo,
What's going on?
we're back.
Welcome to a early Sunday
Early
edition
edition.
of the
Yes.
Opinion City podcast.
That's right.
At 2:30 today. We're getting
Yeah.
started a little early, but super excited for today's show. We've got a
Super
great
excited.
guest. We've got some really important independent wrestling stuff to talk about today. We're super
Indeed.
excited for
That's
that.
right.
You're going to learn a little bit about becoming a wrestler in our
Mhm.
main event today. We're super excited for that too. So, of course, I'm King
Absolutely.
Ralph. That's Parmesan. We are your hosts. And before we get started, there's one thing we always like to talk about, Sean. You know it's coming.
I know
You're
it's
ready
coming.
for it. There's three free and easy
Three
ways you
things.
can help support the podcast. Number one,
Three.
hit that like button.
Hit that like button. Let us know that you're enjoying what you're seeing.
Absolutely. Number two, hit that subscribe button. Nay, smash
that subscribe button.
Pretend you're medieval.
You never miss a video.
Smash it with a sword. Yes, don't miss anything we're doing. And finally, share
it out.
Love. Share us out.
Everyone, friends, coworkers, colleagues, trainers at the gym, the wrestling camp. You know,
whoever. Your friends in your sword group, whatever.
your sword group.
Well, listen, and if you'd like to support the podcast even further, we've got some other ways you can support us, like
we got merch.
That's our beautiful Opinion
Get
City
the
Wild
merch.
LLC. Let us in
You know
logo,
you
but
want
we
the
have
merch.
plenty of other pieces of merch, Raw merch, SmackDown merch, all the
Everything,
logos,
all of it.
everything's
All
out
the
there.
things.
Fanny packs. Join the fanny pack and buy a fanny pack.
Yes.
You can follow us at Opinion City Pod, see everything that we're doing. You can follow at wild_LLC to see everything that the corporate overlords are doing.
That's right.
And finally, and most importantly, and I cannot stress this enough today because this is very important today.
Very important.
Follow and support our
guests.
Make sure
Absolutely.
that you are going out to see wrestling shows. Make sure that you are buying merch.
Do the show.
You are supporting independent wrestling. It is so important, especially today's episode.
Especially today.
We are talking the wrestlers of today who will be the superstars of tomorrow. We are feeding the system, so please make sure that you are supporting today's guest and all of his endeavors.
That's
so, Sean, let's get to today's guest. Who do we have?
He goes by many names. You may have known him from the Chicago days as Oleg the Usurper. You may know him as Castle Rolfenstein. But for today, he is Coach Rolfenstein. To bring him in.
Hey, there he is.
Beautiful beard face right there.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. What a lovely introduction.
What a lovely introduction.
Lovely.
I could have said the other name. What was it? Thor
Squatch.
Thor Squatch, but I didn't say Thor Squatch.
There's a rumor that was you.
That was likely me. I also wrestled as Josh Thor for many years.
Josh Thor,
and I did a little spat as Ralph Floyd.
Yeah.
Yes. But now I am here, Castle Rolfenstein.
But
excellent.
Let's talk a little bit about your days as Oleg the Usurper. Can you talk a little bit about your career and your time in Chikara?
Sure. Let's try.
All right. So how did you all get started in Chikara? Let's start there.
Okay. So I mean, I guess it would probably start around 2011. I was just doing like various indies at that time. I was doing a Beyond Wrestling show, and I got my jaw broken for the third time by Darius Carter. So I had a little bit of a lull, and I was really thinking about changing things up. I felt like my career as Josh Thor was not advancing the way that I liked, and I knew that I was probably in the wrong lane. Like at the end of the day, I was kind of just like a boring white guy wrestler. Like, like I was good, I'm fine, but like I needed to sink my teeth into like a character.
Sure.
So like that's when I started doing the Usurper with the one strap singlet with my man boob hanging out.
Yep.
So I started doing that, and while I was injured, I did what I thought was a seminar with Mike Quackenbush through Beyond Wrestling. And it also turned out to be a tryout / taping while I was injured. So I was like, oh, okay. So I did the tryout. I opted to wrestle first. I had a really nice match. I think it was with Scotty Slade.
Oh wow!
And Quack really liked the character, and he liked the stuff, and I ended up fitting in. Like I feel like obviously a lot of wrestlers have come through Chikara, but many of they weren't necessarily recruited outside of the school though. So I was one of the rare exceptions to that rule. So that's how I got started, right around that time.
Mm-hmm. So you came up with the whole Oleg the Usurper gimmick. How did you decide on that? How did that all come about?
Yeah, so like I was saying though, like I was probably in the wrong lane. Mm-hmm. Like I was kind of like a guy that was kind of big, could kind of do athletic stuff, could kind of run my mouth. But like you got to remember at that time, like there were dudes that were way better than me already doing that. Like I can't compete with Chris Hero. Like I couldn't compete with Kevin Steen. So like I needed to lean into what I did really exceptionally well, in my opinion, and which was make faces and be crazy and act and that sort of thing. So I wanted to like really lean into my strengths and just being like a crazy Viking guy. The name Oleg came later, but it was pretty much my brainchild. And the name Usurper, like I was inspired by Game of Thrones. It was really popular at the time. And like I remember my brother and my friend we're just kind of walking through the store and we're just like, you know what? Like, you know what's a cool name? The Usurper.
The Usurper.
The Usurper. That is kind of cool. And it's kind of vague. Like, and it kind of gives me like the Undertaker. He's the Usurper. Like, that's all you need to know. Yeah. So spent a lot of money on armor and helmets and capes. Over the years, I've acquired lots of tunics and medieval garb. But yeah, that's how it started. Like I just and it was different. Like at the time, there weren't many people wearing capes and doing the Bruiser Brody ripoff thing. So, like now, I feel like there's lots of Vikings and lots of guys, but at the time, there was not. So I was kind of early to that, I think.
So basically, you've become like the most well-prepared Ren Fair attendee of all time.
Oh yes, and I have gone a few times dressed up for the social medias.
There you go.
Yeah, but I just felt like it was something that I could. I could do that. That's something in my wheelhouse.
Now,
so I've always been a fan of like Lord of the Rings and crap like that. So.
Yeah,
right. So, were you also a fan of like D&D as well?
Kind of. Like I kind of
not
like
as much.
I don't know. No, I'm not knocking it, but like I'm probably more of a video game guy. Like I probably like Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate's pretty much D&D, right? So
I mean, kind of.
Yeah,
basically. But so flash forward a little bit, a few years later, can you talk a little bit about sort of the Chikara shutdown and kind of what you were doing during that time?
Yeah. So I guess it was like 2020, like 2019, like I really slowed down. Like I really slowed down wrestling just because my own personal life was kind of ramping up. And I kind of wanted to take a break. I was a little burnt out anyway. But then, of course, COVID happened, and COVID was hard on everybody.
Yeah.
And it's like wrestling was not the same for me anymore. Like it was just like it's kind of like stand-up comedy, right? Like if there's not a crowd, like it's kind of it's not the same. Like there needs I need something. I need to like that to me is like the whole point. The whole point of being a pro wrestler is to entertain the audience. Like the best comedians get the biggest laughs, right? Same thing here with wrestling, right? The best wrestlers get the biggest reactions.
Right.
And if there's no reactions anymore, then it's kind of like, we're just kind of pretending to fight, and it's not really entertaining to me. Now I guess along with that was the Chikara shutdown and like the speaking out movement in general. I took that pretty hard. That was like I knew a lot about, probably way too much, way more than I needed to know. But then it still floored me, like when everybody was kind of coming out and giving their own experiences about their life in wrestling. And I take there are many people that didn't have my experience. Like I'm a privileged white guy, right? Like, but there are a lot of people like women in the industry that had it way harder than I did. And when all that happened, like it was like it kind of turned me off from the business. Like in my mind, I was genuinely like retired. Like I wasn't planning on like, wrestling again. Like I just didn't need it. Like it wasn't fun. I didn't like watching it anymore. And of course, all that speaking out stuff really soured my taste on it. So I kind of unplugged for a while.
So then what made you sort of get that itch back?
I think it was like during the pandemic, me and my fellow Wrestle Factory coach, Danny Danger, which by the way, you guys should absolutely have on here at some point.
Yes.
Oh, listen, he already yelled at me.
Listen,
he already yelled at me.
We've been told
to hang out for getting on Kendra and not him. He
was very mad about that.
For that.
He was.
Yeah. He's obviously a very, very talented wrestler, and we kind of, I'll give him some credit. Like Pro Wrestling Workout was kind of our brainchild, and that was back when before the Wrestle Factory came to Copley, Pennsylvania. So it was still kind of like a ring that we had access to, and it's like he and I were like, should we be coaches? We're not really like famous, right? We don't really have clout. So it's like we just kind of just did this open ring / pro wrestling workout thing. And like it's just fun. We're just there doing like in-ring conditioning. We're not like even like to me, like pro wrestling workout is not necessarily pro wrestling training.
Right.
Like it's just a workout. Like this is something that I feel like other countries did this before the United States. And like I'm going on another tangent here, but like you can do boxing training without ever having the expectation of having a boxing fight. Like you can do Brazilian jiu-jitsu without ever having a plan of doing an MMA fight. So why can't you do pro wrestling as a workout? And even if you don't have the expectation of being a wrestler, like this is still awesome. Like this is still super duper fun.
Yeah.
And like that's where Pro Wrestling Workout started. It's like kind of like our little passion project. And we were doing that for a while. And then there was an opportunity for the Wrestle Factory to come to Copley, and that's kind of where we just kind of shifted over as Wrestle Factory coaches.
Now, before we get away from Chikara, there's one thing I got to ask, because this is like the one thing that sticks out in my mind that I've got to know about. Let's talk about the Onion.
Here we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Fighting the Onion in the middle of for those who don't know and have never seen an Oleg the Usurper match, this guy would come down to the ring and have a giant onion in his hand and take a bite out of it before the match. Insane, but let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So I was on a trip to probably somewhere in the New England area. I think it was for Wrestling is Awesome. It just happened to be like I think it was either on my birthday or that weekend or something. And one of the other wrestlers just kind of as a gag. So it actually started at the first National Pro Wrestling Day.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I don't my timeline is screwed up. I think that was like February of like 2012, something like that. But at that show, without really getting permission from anybody, I just brought my own table. And I kind of just set up like a little medieval feast. Like I just put like, there was like vegetables and like exotic fruits and like big meats. Like I'm just like, as if I'm just there chowing down. Like I didn't really have any merch to sell or anything. So I just set up a table just to kind of get my character over.
Man.
One of the wrestlers, fast forward at this Wrestling is Awesome show, they're like, hey, didn't you like eat onions or something at that thing? And I was like, well, no, I didn't eat onions. He's like, listen, if I get you an onion, would you go out there and eat it? I was like, yeah, absolutely. And, Sydney Bacavella was my manager. He gifted it to me. I got the onion and I ate it raw in front of the crowd, in front of like maybe 30 people, like 40 people. And like the reaction it got, it was like, oh, wait a minute. I don't need to lock up. I don't need to take a bump. I don't need to say anything. Everybody can relate to onions. Not everybody can relate to a body slam, right? Nobody knows what the canvas feels like, but everybody has had an onion before in their life.
Right.
And it also became like this, like obviously wrestling, you can hear it, you can see it, but now you can smell it.
Right.
And like while the onion is bit and I'm like chewing it and I'm throwing it in the crowd and stuff, the audience can smell it too. It's like I'm tapping into another sense. So you can smell wrestling too.
Are you also like crying the entire time you're walking out the ring because of you bit into the onion, like your tears from the onion smell? Like,
no, and it's not like I'm a particular fan of the onion. I consider myself something of an artist, and in my mind, the Oleg character, like he would eat these onions just to show how much of an insane person he was. Like, look how crazy I am.
Fair.
Like, I'm eating onions. You know what I'm going to do to you? Like, I'm
right.
like it's to show my enemies that I should be feared. Like this guy's just a psycho.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it just kind of and people associated me with the Onion, so I just kept doing it. It worked for me.
Now I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again here. The first time that Chikara did a Reading Phillies show, the very first time, I had never been to a Chikara show before. I had tickets for King of Trios, but that was coming up, and it's like an hour from me, and I'm like, okay, so I like going to baseball games, so I'm gonna go check this out. So my dad and I went to the Reading Phillies game, and we stayed for wrestling after. And my dad was not a wrestling fan whatsoever. You know, he would watch it sometimes because of me, but just not his thing. But I kid you not, I have never seen him so excited to see someone in the ring as when Oleg the Usurper came out. He was just like, from that moment on, he associated Oleg with wrestling, and that was that. Like, it was just, you were his favorite wrestler of a sport that he didn't like.
I take that as a huge compliment. Thank you very much. And I'm a big fan of your dad too.
Excellent. There you go. I appreciate that.
Now, talking about the Wrestle Factory, was it easy to transition from wrestler to coach?
Yes and no. Like, on the one hand, I do feel like I have like one of the things that I thought about when I was like retired in 2019, 2020. Was that like I have all this otherwise useless wrestling knowledge in my brain that I would love to share with somebody. And so in that regard, like sharing my experience and some psychology and tricks of the trade that I've picked up over the years, I definitely feel like I can share that and coach that. But at the same time, like some of the physical stuff, like I'm not the most athletic guy. I'm a giant person. I am 6'4", 270 pounds. Like I can't always do the fancy lucha rolls and like up and overs and going over the top rope and springboards and resortes. Like that's not my forte. Like that's not my strong suit. So like I kind of felt a little bit hypocritical like teaching that stuff. So like, and again, like I was saying earlier, like I'm not a household name. Like I'm not some like dude.
Well, you're a name in this household.
There you go. That's right. That's right.
Like, even if you look at like the Wrestle Factory coaches of the past, like Drew Gulak and Claudio Castagnoli, like that's big shoes to fill.
Big names, yeah,
big names. So, like I don't really feel like I could, you know, fit into those shoes, but I do have big feet, so I'm gonna slide right in.
There you go.
Yeah, and I just think the Wrestle Factory obviously was in a position where they needed the help, right? They needed the help wherever they could get it, and I'm happy to help. I want to help. I want to, like, you know, whatever you think of the Wrestle Factory of the past, like, I want to make this a great school again. I want to make this a really good community. I want to make this like the best school that it possibly could be. And I want to help in any way that I can. So hence why I am back doing coaching.
So just looking at the Wrestle Factory website and looking at the amount of talented people that you have coaching there. I mean, there's all different styles. There's all different types of people. So it's a very seasoned and like varied coaching staff. But I want to kind of focus in on your relationship with Quack himself. Talk a little bit about your relationship with Quack.
Well, just to be super honest, like back in the Chikara days, like he and I were not like friends. It was very much a professional, like boss employee type of relationship. And you know, I saw all the hats that he was wearing, and like I get it. Like he probably should have delegated more. And like, you know, it was starting to crack, and I saw a lot of things that I didn't like to see. I saw a lot of and not just from him, obviously, but things could have been better. Things could have been better. Well, there was a lot of room for improvement, and you know, obviously, so many young people were coming through that school, and they were so impressionable. And like often, like I was saying earlier, like I think about my own experience, and I forget what it's like to be a brand new student coming up, and how hard that is. Like being a student and paying your dues and the obligations that go with that. Like you got to know what you're signing up for here. This is tough. And like I know Mike he's apologized publicly. He's apologized privately. Like I'm big on second chances. I still think that he has a lot to teach. I personally have, like, even this new round of me being a coach, I have learned a lot from him, and I have a lot of respect for him.
I mean, he's back out there, like he doing seminars. Like I've seen
he's
his posts. Like he's all over the place.
He did like over 100 seminars,
literally everywhere. It's been nuts. Like he's had this like almost sort of like a resurgence this year or last year of like seminars, going everywhere, all over the world, like just traveling, like just being out there.
And like, whatever you think of the guy personally, just know that like if you're a young pro wrestler, you can learn so much from this man. He has a lot of knowledge and experience that only he has. Like his hybrid style of pro wrestling that he perfected, like one of the best coaches in the world. Like, like if you don't think you can learn from him, then maybe you need to reevaluate your wrestling career. Like anybody and everybody can learn from him. He's one of the best.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I will say this much about him. And when all of these things were happening, the Chikara shutdown and everything, shortly after that, I had the opportunity to talk to some people who were well embedded within Chikara, people who were, not naming any names, but people who were right in the whole middle of everything. And I know that, like you said, he has apologized and all these things, but and these are people that I personally would 100% trust anything they tell me. And, they said he took the brunt for a lot of things that he didn't necessarily need to take the brunt for, that were not things that were within his control or things that other people did. He took a lot of the brunt of that. And, I always kind of felt bad for the guy about that. I mean, I know, like you said, things could have been better. We know that, but I feel like a lot of it fell on his shoulders when maybe necessarily that wasn't all the case.
Definitely. Yeah. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. He went down with the ship. And I know like that speaking out movement, whenever people think about it, they think about all the heinous, horrible crap that came out. And I think his name kind of unfairly gets lumped in with them. Like he didn't sexually abuse anybody, you know what I mean? Like he didn't do shit like that. So like I was saying earlier, I have place in my heart for second chances. And I wanted to work with him again. I was open to that.
Very cool. So let's bring it back to the early years. This is something that we love to ask our guests because of the age bracket that is on this show.
You only like to ask this because it makes me look old. Let's just get it out there right now.
So what was your earliest memory of pro wrestling that made you decide that this is something that you wanted to sink your teeth into?
Well, I can remember I was probably like 5 years old or something, and I was like, laying on my belly looking at the old TV, so probably something from Madison Square Garden, right? Like it's probably something like one of the early WrestleManias, or I don't know. I remember seeing Hulk Hogan. And I just remember thinking like, okay, this is like a cartoon. This is fun.
Right.
And I remember like, I think my dad came in, he was like right away, like I was a little kid. I probably didn't need to hear this, but he's like, comes in the room and he's like, this stuff is all fake, right?
I can't stand that. I cannot stand that.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah. But like at the same time though, I think it did help me a little. I think it did like make me think about what I was seeing a little bit differently. Like this is fictional. Like this is fun. Like this is no one's really getting hurt here. This is theatrics. And it kind of made me like appreciate it on a different level, even as a young kid.
Here's something that I just thought of that I've always wanted to kind of ask, based off that fake, question. If you were to tell a non-wrestling fan about wrestling to get them into it, how would you describe pro wrestling?
Well, I think it's like seeing a comic book come to life. It's like a Marvel movie come to life. It's like being in Disney World. I think while you're in Disney World, like the Mickey Mouse heads stay on, You know what
Right.
I mean? You
Yep.
don't want to see anybody like
No. They make sure over there
like,
they are not allowed to keep their mouths anywhere. They have to be hit. Yeah, they take that very seriously.
Yeah. So yeah, while you're in the world of whatever wrestling show you're at, I think we should honor the integrity of those characters. But yeah, so like sometimes people are like, "Oh, you're gonna lose your match? What are you talking about? Like, you want to lose? Are you sure? Like, you ever like try to like resist losing?"
Right.
No, it's like being Darth Vader. Like, I get to be Darth Vader, and at the end of the movie, like Darth Vader dies.
Right.
It's like this is the villain arc. This is the hero arc, right? This is like we're playing characters here. Like that's what I would describe it as, I guess.
So I like your answer about Hulk Hogan, and I'll tell you why. we get people on this show all the time, and I'm sure it's going to happen very soon again. We get people on this show all the time. We say, "What was your earliest memory of pro wrestling?" And they're like, "Oh, I remember when I was 5 years old, John Cena came out and challenged Kurt Angle on SmackDown." And I'm over here like, I remember when I was 5 years old, like, Brutus the Barber Beefcake wrestling on WWF Superstars. It always makes me feel so old. So I'm glad that I've got somebody that remembers the good old days as well.
The early days.
Yeah. I don't know how or when or why, but like I think I stumbled upon like I was watching Raw at the time, like in that probably like the early 90s, like maybe 93 or 94, something like that.
Right.
And like Jerry Lawler was a heel commentator.
Yeah.
But somehow I don't know if I was flipping through the channels or something, but I feel like I saw the empty arena match with Terry Funk.
Oh yeah. That's
again,
right.
I don't know how, I don't know why, I don't know what channel that was on. I couldn't tell you, but I was like, wait a minute, he's a good guy? Jerry Lawler's a good guy? Why is that? It's like, oh, and he's fighting and he's bleeding. There's like blood. Like what's going on? Yeah. I was like obsessed for a while. As a wrestling fan. I'm probably still an obsessed wrestling fan, to be honest.
Right. Now, is it hard for you, because we ended up being by you and Danny during a holiday hangout, and the whole time we were there, you and Danny I wouldn't necessarily call you guys fans, but how do you differentiate, or can you at this point differentiate being a trainer versus being a wrestling fan at those shows?
Yeah, very good question. Yeah, you have to remember, like, for someone like me, I'll speak for myself here. Like, I've seen a lot of wrestling. I've seen the best of times. I've seen the worst stuff, and sometimes the absolute worst is the most entertaining.
Right.
But yeah, I think I don't expect everyone to be able to do like all the crazy moves, but there are certain foundational things that I kind of have. Like, I kind of expect you to have a good foundation. And like, I might be rolling my eyes or sighing or like I have so much respect for every pro wrestler. And like, I just want to like take them and shake them and be like, you know what? If you just did it a little differently, it would make such a difference.
Right.
So like, it does frustrate me a little bit, but at the same time, like, I love wrestling. Like this is even bad is good, you know?
Right.
Yeah. It was crazy because I've never had the opportunity to watch a wrestling match with someone like Danny. Just, it was incredible because he was just pointing out like
everything,
like things you would never even think about. Like, okay, they shouldn't have done this. This is how they should have done it. It would have been much better. They should stop doing that move 17 times. Or, like he did have a good thing to say here and there, because
he did.
But, a lot of it's like, if they would have done this, it would have been. And like he's explaining to me why this would have looked better than this.
The whys and hows,
Yeah, it was just it was incredible.
Yeah, he's got a great mind for the business. He's been at this a long time too. In many ways, like we got started at the same time. He's like a phenom, guys. Like he started when he was 16 years old.
Wow.
Like, he did a WWE match when he was 18.
Wow.
Like, he's been at this a long time. Now, again, he doesn't have the fame, but like he was kind of a big deal on YouTube for a hot second.
Yeah.
With his little music videos. I don't know if you guys were around for that time period. I guess it was like maybe like 2008, 2009 that window. I could be wrong, but yeah, like he's a very talented dude. Like I was saying earlier about more of the mechanical athletic stuff, he can do it all. He can do it all. Like and he can cut promos too.
Yeah.
He can do it all. And you know, this subject came up a little bit ago, but like and I don't want to say kids these days, right? I don't want to be one of those things. I don't want to be Grandpa Simpson yelling at clouds, but like when I got started in 2007, not to date myself, but when I got started in wrestling in 2007, the business was so different in that like when a veteran guy came up to you and was like, hey, do this instead of that,
right?
It was like the ultimate show of respect. Like this guy he didn't have to say anything. He could have kept that little secret, that little nugget of wisdom to himself, but he came and he shared it with me, and it was like, wow, like he did not have to do that. But now, like, and I get it. People are very sensitive. Like this is a very subjective thing. Everybody just kind of wants to go out there and have fun.
Right.
I get it. But like when the veteran comes up to you, it's like he's sharing the locker room with you.
Yeah.
Like he could be the difference between you succeeding or you failing. And like even when I was in, like, I'm gonna show my cards here, but I was a fine arts major in college.
Okay.
And that's very common. Like when you put your art on, like after we're done or if we're wrapping up a certain project, we would put it, like all of our works, in front of the class, and everybody would kind of go around and just kind of give thoughts. You know, just kind of give their opinions on what's good, what's not, what's working, what's really not working about certain artwork. It's like, why can't wrestling be the same way? Why do we all have to be such sensitive artists,
right?
And like not be willing to change or evolve or to consider other options,
right?
Like, yeah,
absolutely.
Like, I was just hearing a music producer talk about this, but like a lot of singers, like, and just anybody in general, when you're listening to your own voice, you're like, oh, that's what I sound like. Oh,
yeah. all the time.
Everybody else hears the way you sound. Like there are some things that you're just blind to. Like you can't understand what you're doing out there. Sometimes it takes a second pair of eyes to be able to tell you, like, hey, you know what, that thing you're doing, it's not working. And like that's part of being an artist. You got to be open to receiving criticism and trying to grow from it.
Absolutely. Now,
did
thinking
I
about
the question there, I was just rambling.
Yeah,
no,
you're
fine. That was Listen, we go on tangents on this show all the time. It's quite all right.
It gets
happens.
Bad sometimes.
It happens. Now, thinking back on your career, do you have maybe a favorite match or matches that you can think of off the top of your head that you really like thought to yourself, that was a really good match I had?
Really good question. I had so many matches that I was proud of. Honestly though, like during my like Oleg days, like in many ways, I know this might sound crazy, but I kind of treated my wrestling career like it was practice. Like,
oh yeah,
every time I go out there, it's not like, this is not necessarily the finished product. This is where I am right now. And I'm going to go out and I'm going to try to apply the things that I've learned and try to do the best so that I can have bigger days ahead of me.
Right.
So, and like the Oleg style was not necessarily work rate, right? It's not necessarily, I wasn't necessarily doing a lot of fancy moves. I was a barbarian brute who barely understood the rules. Like I just wanted to fight, you know, like so to answer your question though, I really feel like my favorite Oleg the Usurper match, I think the show was called like Five Senses, and I wrestled Princess Kimberly for the Chikara Grand Championship.
Oh, nice. Yes.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites. I felt like that one worked really well. I think Kim and I had great chemistry as partners and opponents. And of course, it was the main event, and I don't know, like I felt like we didn't really have much storyline that built to this match, and it was just kind of like a cold match that was just happening. And I felt like we really did something cool and fun. I felt like I had a couple good ones with Juan Francisco.
That's
you see,
that's the number one fan right there. Number one fan right there.
That sign back there on the wall, it says Coronado Clutch. It's a take on the Bullet Club logo. I had that sign made for the Wrestle Factory. That's also signed, by the way.
Sweet.
Yeah. Dude, and like you have to tell him real quick about Juan giving you the tie.
Well, okay, so I had been bugging Juan forever that, he was selling all the different colored bow ties. And I said, listen, you have to sell the one with the Ecuadorian flag on it. So that never came to pass. So as we're getting to, I believe it might have been the Infinite Gauntlet show at the Pocono Mountain West High School. It's the show where he became, John Francis, where he did the American gimmick. He was all in the red, white, and blue. So he said to me, he's like, are you going to the show? I'm like, yeah, I'll be there. He's like, well, come and see me at the show. He's like, I have something for you. So I go to see him at his table, and he's like, here, I brought this for you. And he had a plastic bag that had the Ecuadorian flag bow tie in it. And he's like, here, he's like, I got this all cleaned up. He's like, I want you to have this. I was like, oh, that's incredible. Like I was blown away. It was amazing. That's still not my best wand story though. This one you'll love. So my wife and I live in the Lehigh Valley of Pennsylvania. And so there's this big music fest near us every year where they bring in all kinds of big artists. It's a whole week-long thing. Yeah. They take over like the city of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania for it. So Boyz II Men was there, and my wife really wanted to go see Boyz II Men. Fine, we'll go see Boyz II Men. I'll admit I listened to them back in the day, whatever, So we went, and it was a really good show. But at the end of the show, as we were leaving, she's like, I want to go look at the t-shirts. So we go over to the t-shirt, the booth, and we're standing in line, and all of a sudden I get this tap on my shoulder, and I turn around, and there's Juan standing right there. He saw me from like across the whole parking lot area and came over. I was like, dude, that is incredible. Yeah, so it was quite the moment.
Yeah, I always had a great rapport with him. I think he's an unbelievably talented guy. And I wish him well. I hope he's doing good.
Listen, he had some bangers during that title run. The match with Fire Ant down in North Carolina was incredible. He had a great match where he tapped out Zack Sabre Jr. in the middle of the ring in the Wrestle Factory. Which
I think that was his best one.
I think it was. That was a good one. His match with Quack was really good. But that Zack Sabre Jr. one, that was incredible. Just to see him tap him out in the middle of the ring. Here's a guy who is really like considered about the best wrestler in the world at that time. And it's just unbelievable. But all right, another tangent we got off on here.
Another tangent. But
yeah,
let's
reel it back in.
Let's reel it back in. Let's talk why we're here. Royalty Wrestling. Let's talk about it. How did this promotion come about? What was the idea behind this promotion? And how did you come up with the name Royalty Wrestling?
Well, again, I have to share the credit with fellow Wrestle Factory coach Danny Danger. We were kind of we were fans of medieval times, like the restaurant experience, thing, eating with your hands. And just the fact that everybody's kind of on their, even the fans, when you pay for a ticket, you're like, oh, you're just on the green team today. You're gonna cheer for the green knight.
Right.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So it kind of stemmed from that. And then we got to, before we can get to that point, we were just kind of tossing around some names. I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. Before that, he and I were producing student showcases that we would do at the school, just for friends and family. And some of these shows were really good, way better than they had any business being.
Right.
You know what? This is, some of the stuff here is as good as anything out there. Maybe we should put on actual shows. And obviously with Chikara not being around, that was the place where Wrestle Factory graduates and students used to go to once they were, once they've reached that point with their training.
Right.
Now there's no company anymore. There's no Chikara. So we ultimately just wanted a place for our students to be able to get work.
Right.
To kind of show off what they can do. And maybe if they can get their footage out there to other promoters, then they'll get a look at them. But that's kind of where it all started. We just kind of, I think the ensemble, the whole crew that we had was kind of getting to a point where I think it was worth investing.
Right.
And we had a good group of people all together, kind of wearing, just sharing responsibilities and just a really great team atmosphere that we had, like we just have such great energy with our students, and
Right.
like it's kind of like the old pat on the back for me when I see how good our students are. Like our students are so talented.
Right.
They are so talented. It makes me feel like, oh, I know what I'm doing as a coach. Like when I see how many, and it's like, it's not just like, oh, one or two are good. It's like we have so many kids that are like so talented in their own ways, trying to back to that stay in your lane conversation. Like they are in their lanes, and like we're trying to develop them as wrestlers.
Right. Now you had mentioned it off air to us, but I wanted to bring it up on the air. Yeah. How does you per se rate your students?
Yeah, so I was mentioning this to Sean, but I have like this quirky thing because I grew up on the Ninja Turtles. Right. So like I like to sort of categorize our students as one of the Ninja Turtle personality types. And we have Michelangelo. Michelangelo's very good. Michelangelo's very talented. Michelangelo has a lot of potential, but Michelangelo fools around too much. We don't need the jokey Michelangelo all the time. Every once in a while, it's nice, but there's a time to take this seriously too. Right. So enough fun and games, Michelangelo. You got to step up. Then we have Donatello. Right. Some students are Donatello. They'll get in there and they'll just overthink everything. Sometimes you got to let go of that. You got to just dive in. You can't be thinking about how cold it is. You just got to dive in. You just got to go. So like a lot of students will fall into that trap of getting in their head. That's Donatello. We don't want that. then there's Raphael. Raphael's very good. Raphael is very talented. Raphael has all the skills, but Raphael kind of has a bad attitude, and he's not very coachable, and he wants to do his own thing. Right. And I don't want any of those turtles. I don't need those turtles. Okay. I want all my turtles to be Leonardo. I want leadership qualities. I want people who they want to accept ownership. They want to accept the faults. They want to show up first. They want to leave last. I would like it if all my students could be Leonardo. So hope that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, that's incredible. You nailed each personality type to a T. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's legit too, by the way. Like everybody kind of like there are many students that will just fall into one of those categories.
Right.
Yeah. I just put Ninja Turtles with them.
So speaking of Royalty Wrestling, you have your first big show of 2025.
Yeah.
Chivalry is Dead, which is coming up on February 15th in Sellersville, PA. So what can we expect from this show? There it is. Oh, hang on. Let's get the information there.
Yeah, there it is.
Sweet.
Saturday, February 15th.
Anywhere in the area. If you're anywhere in the area, you need to be at this show.
Yeah, and if any wrestling fans are watching this, obviously we've all, like I was saying earlier, like we all watch a lot of wrestling. There's so much wrestling on right now, and there's so much good wrestling on right now.
Yeah,
just from the comfort of your own home, you can watch some of the best wrestling happening all over the world. Earlier this month, just a couple of weeks ago, I saw Kenny Omega and Gabe Kidd just have an insane,
such an incredible match.
It had no business being that good, but it was one of the great all-time matches, I feel. And you can watch that from your home, just like you can watch Royalty Wrestling from your home. You can watch us on YouTube. You can follow the social medias. I'm sure at some point those matches will be uploaded and you can watch them. But I want to just tell you, and I know at least for my wrestling style, like there's nothing like being there live. And I think with Royalty Wrestling, we've created this, like when you walk through the doors at the Forest Lodge in Sellersville, like you're entering our little universe.
Right.
High fantasy. Like I want there to come a time where like fans are dressing up to our shows, like wearing capes and cloaks and stuff. I want people to be wearing like princess outfits and stuff. Like I would love to take this concept to Ren fairs and like bring it to
you. That's brilliant.
That would be awesome. Absolutely.
Like I feel like there's a lot of crossover appeal there. And like I was saying, like being there live in that building and just like seeing the sweat fly and just hearing the grunts and like listening to the bumps.
Yeah.
Like we bring an energy and an atmosphere that you're not going to get from any other wrestling company.
Right.
And I know we're just starting, and we have a lot of ideas. I told you guys off air that I had a surprise here. This is fresh. This just came in.
Hey,
this is going to be for our next show. Can you see that?
Oh,
Look at that.
Look at that bell.
When the referee says ring the bell.
Wow,
that's
great.
great.
Amazing. Oh, I love that. That's so cool.
Our referees wear tunics.
Yes.
Our announcers are characters.
Oh,
I love it so much. I love it.
Like, and we're just getting started. We have lots of ideas and concepts yet to be unveiled.
So where did the idea for the name of this upcoming show come from? Chivalry is Dead.
So like again with Coach Danny and I, we kind of produce these shows, and one of our philosophies is best idea wins. And we kind of just threw it out there like, hey, we kind of need a new name for this show coming up. What should it be?
Mm-hmm.
And like, we had things like Love Hurts, and
right,
because it's February, it's
Valentine's Day. It's right.
So someone said Chivalry is Dead, and I was like,
that's the one.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
That's the one.
And Coach Danny, he's I don't know if you guys know this, but he's the one who makes all these graphics, and he made that Chivalry is Dead little thing, and it's so good.
It's so good. Let's bring it up one more time, just because. There it is. Just
look at that pretty thing in the
logo.
That's very impressive.
Very good. Very good.
Boom.
Very awesome. So, do you have any maybe announcements about the show that you like to share here with us?
Yeah. So, I don't even know what my role is. I don't know if my
I don't even know what my role is.
creative person, idea guy. I certainly wouldn't call myself the booker. I'm not the promoter. It's not my thing, but I'm an ideas guy. And I have created a match concept.
Ooh.
I have invented it, and I would like to share it with you here.
Yes, please.
All right, this is an Opinion City exclusive.
This match has not even been announced yet, and I will not announce the participants yet.
Okay.
But the match itself, it's called the Capture the Flag. So in the ring, we will have 2 flag poles, kind of similar to like if you think like Vince Russo on a pole matches.
Yes.
We'll have, 5 people, kind of a scramble, every person for themselves. On one flag pole, you have a flag, and on the other pole, it's empty. So the first person to hang that flag onto the other flag.
That's so great. Good. I love it.
So pulling that flag down is not enough. You got to also hang it. And I foresee lots of like hot potato moments where the flag is going to change hands a few times there. And I see opportunities for a lot of high flying, like a lot of risk taking. So yeah, that will be happening at our next show.
So is it like a scramble style match?
Yeah, it's a scramble. Every man for themselves. No pinfall, no countouts, no disqualifications.
It's all about the flag.
All about the flag.
Grab the flag, hang it up.
That's awesome.
Great. Now, I just want to warn you, I do know executives at 2K watch this show, so if we see that in 2K25,
we know why.
You've got some proof here that it's yours.
It won't be the first time that somebody on a higher level has ripped off my stuff. So just know that whoever's ripping off my stuff, if you want to rip it off, go for it, I guess.
Go ahead, you're fine.
This up here. Right, I've got so many good ideas up here that the world has not seen yet. So
that's awesome.
That's gonna be a great first one, that's for sure.
Hey, it's the first time we're doing a capture the flag match. If it sucks, we'll never do it again.
Right, exactly.
But if it's great,
then
it's
we do more.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What would be fun to add to that? Only because I thought about it when me and Ralph went to the show for Dropkick Depression. You should add to it, and maybe we one day do a capture the flag anywhere match, meaning you don't know where the other side of the flag is. You have to find it and then put it up.
Oh, geez. Listen, for a minute there, Sean, I thought you were going to suggest that they do a capture the Judy Bagwell match.
No.
Put
Well,
Judy
no.
Bagwell up
Well,
there.
we weren't there for that. I mean, because at Kick Your Mention, they had a falls count somewhere match.
Somewhere.
You didn't know where the fall was, but you had to keep trying until you found the X.
You had to pin the person until you found the spot where because the referee would count to 2 and then go no. That's not
no wrong spot.
Do you guys mind just riffing for a bit? I'll be right back. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Awesome. All right. So
actually, why don't we take a quick break and do our upcoming events real quick?
Let's do that. All right, hang on here. We're switching things up here. We're gonna do some upcoming events. This is stuff you can see on our channel.
Yeah.
All right. So out right now, you can see our interview with Billy Avery talking about the great year that Labor of Love had in 2024 and what we can expect in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, we have Monster Factory pro wrestler Liam Black of the Broad Street Bullies. We're excited to talk to him. And the following week, we have a royalty wrestling wrestler.
That's right. Yes,
Deuce
we do.
Ex Machina, who is making waves, absolutely took over the LVAC Holiday Hangout.
Yes, he did.
Super cool guy, super cool gimmick. Everything that he's doing is great. So we get to talk to him and talk some more royalty wrestling last weekend in January. And then February starts our brand new Bell to Bell month. And as you saw in the graphic, we had our first guest is Gabby Ortiz, and I will be joined by special guest host, Mrs. Sampson,
I will not be there,
as Sean will be on the Jericho cruise.
Cruising.
And then, as you may have seen on our socials, just announced the second week in February, we will be talking to Becca Wiley.
Yeah,
so we're super excited for that as well. And now we're super excited because our good friend Coach Rolfenstein is back.
Yes,
what's up,
right.
Guy?
Are we ready to go to the top 5?
Oh, top 5. All right, let's do it.
All right.
Oh, we have more. Is there another question?
Yeah, we've got one. We've got one more.
I do our last question before we get to the top 5. So
let's do that.
We
have the final question. So Sean, why don't you take that away?
So for you, what does pro wrestling mean to you, and what impact has it had on your life?
Well, what does pro wrestling mean for me? What impact has it had on my life? Okay, so I think wrestling for me has been like a sanctuary, like it's my happy place. And I just know like there have been times in my life where I haven't been wrestling, and I just find myself just much happier when I have wrestling around, when I'm wrestling it either physically or. Like, obviously, physically, it's good for me. Like, I don't mind taking bumps. I don't mind getting in there and sharing my wisdom. And it's like a creative outlet for me. It's a creative outlet, and it's fun. It's not super serious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is that a fun final answer?
Yeah, listen,
final answer.
It's an honest final answer, and that's what we love. We love hearing, how you honestly feel about pro wrestling. So that's super cool. All right. So with that,
hold on. I'm usurping this podcast right now. All right. So let me turn that back around to you guys. What about you, Ken? What's the reason why you're into wrestling?
Here we go.
All right.
I think this is a first for us. I think that no one's ever asked us our own question before.
Yeah. All right. So I'll start off.
Start off.
I cannot ever remember a time in my life when wrestling was not around. Wrestling is something that makes me feel, I don't want to say complete, but it's like there's a part of my life that would be missing if I didn't have wrestling in it. Wrestling has given me some of my best friends in the world. Wrestling gave me my co-host for my podcast, who has become just an absolute brother. I've felt that wrestling has accepted me from my time as a fan in Chikara. We all know how much of a family that all really was. And just, to today doing the podcast and being able to, meet people and, become friends with people. And it is such an important part of my life that I do really feel like, it completes me. I would have an empty feeling inside if I didn't have wrestling to fill that.
Great answer. Great answer.
I mean, sentiment's the same. I mean, to me, family is the biggest word I can think of. Like, I've been watching it since, like I said, same as Ralph, for as long as I can remember, I've been watching it. I remember specifically watching Kane's debut, and that's what sucked me into it. Just not knowing what this was. Who is this guy? Why is he coming out? Why is he tearing a door off its hinges? And why is he tombstoning this dude? I didn't know what was going on. I had just fell into the story, so I had to follow up and catch up. But like, Kane was the reason that got me started into wrestling. The mask gimmick, I loved it. But like, just being an adult wrestling fan, being on the Jericho Cruise as many times as I have, it's literally one big giant cruise family. You're all there for the same reason. You're all there for the same thing. You want to have fun on a cruise ship, watch some wrestling, have some fun, and be able to like interact with them. Like, and not just as a fan. Like, to me, this podcast has done so much more than words can describe, because I have met people and I have built relationships because of this show, because of this podcast, and because of my fandom for wrestling, that I have been able to like build these relationships and have sort of a wrestling family that I didn't have before. And like Ralph said, I think if I didn't have this part of my life, there would be like a giant hole missing, because of all the experiences I've had going to big shows, going to small shows, going to indie shows, seeing every aspect of wrestling is just such a cool thing to me.
Absolutely. It's a tribe, right? It brings together so many like-minded people.
Yeah,
like all these black sheep get together in one little flock, and they're like, wait, there are other black sheep too.
Dude, seriously, like being on the cruise, we always joke with each other that we're a bunch of misfits on the same cruise. Like, we're all a bunch of misfit toys, just having a good time on this cruise, but it's all because of pro wrestling.
Absolutely. Definitely.
Awesome. All right. Well, now that we've all taken a shot at the final question, which again, a first for our show.
Yes.
We are going to head over to our main event top 5 list, which oddly enough is going to be another first for our show, because instead of just a normal top 5 this time, we are posing a question to our guest to answer the top 5. So Sean
ponders his beard.
Yes. What are we asking today, Sean?
We're asking top 5 things you should know before training at the Wrestle Factory.
All right. Top 5.
Coach, take it away.
Yes.
Thank you. And I guess this is not in any particular order. So I might need you guys to count on your fingers with me, because I'm going to.
That's fine.
Right, I got you.
Right, so let's go number 1. Or maybe this is number 5. Sorry.
Number 5. We'll go 5. We'll go 5 to 1.
Number 5, the thing that you should know before coming to the Wrestle Factory to train. I think the correct gear. So you want to wear a t-shirt. You want to bring a backup t-shirt just in case you are sweaty and you sweat through that t-shirt. That's okay. Right. Bring gear that's comfortable for you. So wear athletic clothing, and bring deodorant if you're a smelly person. Bring a change of clothes, because we're all going to be sweating into that canvas. We're all going to be sweating on each other. Try not to stink on other people. Right. I get it. It happens. We're all sweating together, but
right.
Yeah. Try your best to not be the smelly guy.
Okay.
That's number 5. All right.
Number 5. Number 4.
No, well, while we're at number 5, also bring good footwear. Like you want to have I recommend wrestling shoes. Wrestling shoes are great. You can get them pretty much anywhere. And don't bring your outside footwear into the ring.
Don't wear loafers.
Yeah, don't wear loafers.
Don't wear loafers. Bring athletic shoes that only grace the canvas.
Right.
Don't bring your your shoes that have snow on them.
Right.
Like I don't want the outside world coming into the ring. Let's have special shoes just for this canvas.
Very nice.
We're got to show the ring some respect as well as
Absolutely.
the other people in the
Indeed.
class. And you know what? Okay, let's keep going. That's number 5.
Number 4.
Number 4, things that you should know before going to the Wrestle Factory. I think a lot of people make the mistake of thinking to themselves like, "Oh, I have to make sure I'm in shape before I go to class. Like I need to go running, and I got to be working out for 6 months before I even start my first day of pro wrestling training." Nope, you don't have to. Just get in here. Just any way that you can. If you love this and if you want to do this, just come as soon as possible. Like you'll never get time back. You'll never get it back. You might as well do it while you're young and dumb. Just come and sacrifice.
Right, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, like this might be bad advice, but like if you want to pursue something where you have to go to school and get an education, that's great. I actually think that can come later on in life too. But pro wrestling can't really come later on in life. This is something that you need to do right now.
Right.
So timing is everything, and just getting your foot in the door. You're not going to be perfect your first day, and that's all right. Rome was not built in a day. Just tangent here, but pro wrestling workout, by the way, pro wrestling workout happens every single Thursday. First class is totally free. So people coming to our first pro wrestling workout class, it's a little intimidating when you're lined up and everybody has to do those rolls in the beginning, and you're like, oh my god, I haven't rolled since I was a toddler.
Right.
I haven't done, you know what I mean? Like, you have to remember. Oh, this might even be a number 3 here, Ralph. But
all right. Number 3, we're gonna do it like The Rock does it.
Right.
Number 3. Run your own race. Okay.
Ooh, okay.
Don't compare yourself to anybody else. We have people in our classes that are total freaks that have been doing this. They're like ex-Marines and stuff like that.
Oh wow.
You are not them. Okay.
No.
So you have to worry about like improving where you're at right now.
Right.
As long as you can work hard and do better than what you did last time you were here, that is what's important. Just self-improvement and not comparing yourself to anybody else.
Awesome.
Okay. Number
2.
Number 2. Trying to stagger this in a skillful way. Number 2. Well, this could probably be number 1 too, but it's very important to. You know what? Let's just keep it at number 2. Let's keep it at number 2. Number 2.
This is going so well.
When you come to training, do what your coaches say. Okay, so like a lot of people will
listen.
Right, listen. So when so like people will make this mistake all the time where they do something and they don't do it right, and they're like, oh, I was thinking about this. No, I'm like, I don't need an explanation. You don't need to tell me what happened. We all saw it. It's okay. Just do it again. You don't need to explain what happened. Just do it again. And just try your best to be coachable. Like people like Danny and I, like we were talking about earlier, we can see 1,000 mistakes when you make 10 steps. Like this is going to take a long time. That might be number 2/number 1. This is like Bret Hart says, this is a marathon.
We're back.
It's not a sprint. Okay. It's a marathon, not a sprint. It's going to take a long time. I would say it probably took me like 6 or 7 years before I felt like, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing.
Right.
So there's that. Okay. Number 1.
There we go.
Number 1. Are we down to 1?
Yes, we're down to 1.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
We're down to 1.
Acknowledge number 1.
I think it's low key one of the most important things about wrestling, but you got to have respect. You got to have respect. You got to have respect for your peers. You got to have respect for the school. You got to have respect for your coaches. You got to have respect for the people that have came first in this industry, the people that have put in the miles. Okay. It's not about how famous that person is. Doesn't matter how many companies that person has worked for. Doesn't matter who they've been in the ring with. The bumps and the miles, that's what matters. Okay.
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter if somebody was a jobber or enhancement guy. If they've been in the business longer than you and they've been, bumping and, on the road and making sacrifices, tenure is what respect is all about. And you got to listen to the people, and you have to have respect for the people that have came before you. And I think that's kind of a lost thing. I wish more wrestlers kind of felt like that. But yeah, have respect for your elders. And that's kind of a lesson in life too, guys.
Right.
Have respect for the people that have done this first. Have respect for the people that have been doing this longer. Have respect for the coaches. Have respect for the other students. There's a time to fool around and be jackasses, but once we're at class, I want you to take this seriously, because this shit is dangerous.
Sure.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
How was that?
Excellent.
That was excellent.
Very good.
There you go.
Very good. All right.
Before we get out of here.
Yes.
Hold on. I still have more questions.
Oh, you got more questions? All right.
Yeah, I got questions for you.
Do it.
All right. So when are you coming to Pro Wrestling Workout? Let's go.
Okay. So we're gonna talk about this because we talked at Holiday Hangout, and I said to you, I am coming on Thursday. Now, despite my 4 concussions, I was still coming. However, in between the time that we talked and that Thursday, I found out that I have a fracture in my spine. So I need to get that taken care of first.
Definitely.
I'm in the process of getting that taken care of. But once I get that taken care of, I am coming to Pro Wrestling Workout.
There you go.
As soon as I get that taken care of.
If it wasn't a Thursday, I'd be all for it. But I have work the next day. I can't do Thursdays.
Here we go.
Oh my gosh. Work the next day. Don't we all?
Don't we all, brother? I have to drive 2.5 hours to get there and back.
Hey, sometimes, yeah. I mean, like, to me, that's local. Like,
listen, the Wrestle Factory, it's worth the drive.
There you go. That should be our slogan. Yeah, the Wrestle Factory.
that should be a slogan.
Actually, I think your slogan
right there.
No, I think your slogan should be, "Don't be a Raphael, be a Leonardo."
There you go. That's a good one. That's a good one. Don't be a Raphael.
Don't be a Michelangelo, Raphael, or Donatello. I want Leonardo.
Yes.
We only want Leonardo's.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Before we wrap things up,
I figure I should mention this too.
Please go.
January 26th.
Okay.
You can sign up right now, thewrestlefactory.com. Our next round of 101 is starting. So if you're thinking about being a pro wrestler and you're kind of willing to maybe give this a try, baby step your way into it,
right?
You can sign up right now. The cost of the class is $399. You can pay right through the website. You can sign up there. And it's 7 weeks. We learn, I guess it's 11 disciplines. And as long as you can display a reasonable mastery at the end of the 7 weeks, that class will count as a credit if you wanted to sign up to be a big boy pro wrestler. And I highly recommend it. It's really just hanging out with me on a Sunday afternoon. So if you have the Sundays free and you got a little money and you're thinking about trying this thing,
there it is.
101 is where to start.
There you go.
Yeah, definitely can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong. Of course, like I said, every Thursday, Pro Wrestling Workout. You can follow us on Facebook. Coach Danny will post updates on there and keep you guys in the loop. But please give us the like there. It is our little small business that we're running, hustling.
Nice.
Trying to do good for the community.
Absolutely.
To build something in the Lehigh Valley here that didn't exist previously. And it's a good place. It's just a good place for like-minded black sheeps like us.
Love it.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Before we wrap up, we got to talk about the show now. Chivalry is Dead, February 15th. We have some of the matches already announced. We figured we would run them down real quick with you. You can tell us a little bit about each match. First matchup, Ralph, what we got?
So I believe this was the first one that was announced. We've got some tag team action here.
Yeah, we do. Got the Gatekeepers, Brother Bedlam, and Dylan Cross against Havoc and Big Dan.
Havoc and Big Dan.
Yeah. Obviously, I am the Gatekeepers, and I'm very impressed with them. They are very talented. So far at Royalty Wrestling, they are undefeated. But I got to throw a little shade on them a little bit. They have cheated. They have cheated to get those wins.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. I get it.
Right.
Decision, whatever. But so far they're 2-0, and I think the Duke of Danger wanted to put them in a challenge that, okay, let's see if you can really hang. So we put them against two of our most veteran pro wrestlers. And Big Dan is one of the most popular pro wrestlers in the league.
Oh, absolutely.
Come on. He's one of the best.
He is my wife's least favorite wrestler.
Least favorite?
Yeah, she does not like him at all. Yep.
Really?
I don't know. She has like Sidney Bacabella disease. She just doesn't like him. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
it's funny that you talked about cheating, because I just said to my wife last night, we were watching a replay of SmackDown because we weren't home Friday, and I said to her, I'm like, because she was mad about somebody cheating. I'm like, it's like Bobby Heenan said, win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat.
There you go. Absolutely.
There you have it. Yep.
And I always like the villains that they don't cheat because they have to. They cheat because they want to.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Yes.
All right.
I might fall into that category too.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Right.
So next, this is one of two qualifying matches that have been announced. We have Damon Malik and the former guest of the show, Kendra Kaida.
Right.
What
do we got going on here?
Yeah. Like I was saying earlier, two of the students there at the Wrestle Factory that I'm very proud of. They're gonna have a great match. I'm a huge fan of intergender wrestling. I know that's kind of like a hot subject. A lot of people are hot button. I don't know where you guys fall on that, but I'm very pro intergender wrestling.
I'm very pro.
Look, we come from a long stock of Chikara wrestling, so they were like the first company in the United States to really feature a female as their world heavyweight champion.
That's
so
right.
And that made a lot of big news. So I think it's great.
I think it's great too, and I think Kendra Kaida is. She's one of our more popular wrestlers, and I always think about like the little girls in the audience, like when they see her wrestle and they see her, beat up guys. I think it's empowering.
Yeah,
I think it's cool. Like if she can do this to dudes, hey, equal fights, equal rights. Let's go.
Heck yeah!
Right? Hell yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And you know what? Just tying it back to royalty wrestling, Damian Malik has opened. He's been in the opening match on both of our shows, and he has not won.
Oh boy!
So, okay.
Even though he's one of our more talented, more seasoned, more experienced students, he has not won a match. And we're gonna see if he's gonna beat Kendra Kaida. I don't know.
See.
There you go. All right. So the other qualifying match that's been announced so far, as we were talking about earlier, Deus Ex Machina taking on Bear in Mind, and we're super excited for this one. Of course, we've seen Deuce before. He took over the holiday hangout show.
Yes.
He has quite the presence. So talk to us about this one a little bit.
Yeah. So earlier talking about Ninja Turtles,
Yes.
I consider Deus Ex Machina to be a Leonardo in our locker room.
There you go.
And if we can get more Leonardos in our locker room, that'd be great. I am a big fan of Bear in Mind. I insisted on having him at our shows. I think he fits our aesthetic. I'm ready to see this match. It's kind of a rematch. At the last show at Winter Warfare, they did tie up in the gauntlet, and Deuce actually made him tap out.
Ooh.
Bear in Mind prides himself on being a good technical wrestler, but lost his submission to Deus Ex.
Jeez.
Wow.
Crazy.
Just crazy.
So now these are both qualifying matches. What are they qualifying for?
Yeah.
So it's the greatest prize in wrestling. It's the greatest prize in life. Here at Royalty Wrestling, we don't really have championship belts.
Okay.
We have the Holy Grail.
Yes, I love it. It's so good.
Grail.
It's so
great.
good.
I heard a rumor that the Holy Grail, it was the same cup that Bruiser Brody drank from before he died. So
wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Bruiser Brody, of course, died for our sins. So
Yep.
we pay homage to all the wrestling gods of the past, and the Holy Grail is the symbol of not just excellence, but it is the symbol of all things holy. I love it. You need to be a special kind of wrestler to hold the Grail.
Man, the more you talk about royalty wrestling, the more I'm so into everything about it. Just everything about it. The bell, the Holy Grail, the medieval times. The Ren Fair prospect. I'm into all of it.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So just once again, just a reminder, Chivalry is Dead from Royalty Wrestling is Saturday, February 15th in Sellersville, PA at the Forest Lodge. Doors open at 6:30. Bell time is 7 o'clock. This is not a show you want to miss. Obviously, you just heard all of the reasons why, and we only have 3 matches announced so far. So we're super excited to see.
And of course, there will be a capture the flag match.
A capture the flag match.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Participants TBD.
Yes,
TBD. And we're also going to do a little special gift here. I don't know if you guys caught this on my social medias, but I'm going to share it here.
Yes.
If you go to our Eventbrite website and you purchase your tickets right now, if you use the coupon code ROYAL, you will get $5 off.
Oh, very nice.
I think there's also a coupon by Deuce as well, where if you write in Deuce as well, I believe he posted that as well.
Shut up about Deuce, all right? That's his code.
Yeah.
It's not my code.
That is a coupon code to announce on another show, not this one.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Yes. Use Royal instead. Use Royal
instead. That's right.
Yes. All right. Well, listen, it's been a great episode. It's great to, talk to you, catch up, learn about all the great stuff going on at the Wrestle Factory, dive into Royalty Wrestling, which honestly sounds freaking amazing. Everything about it is just
incredible,
unbelievable. We are super psyched to be there on February 15th. It's going to be a great show. We thank you for your time today. I know that you've got to go get yourself all prettied up for a photo shoot. So
I wake up like this.
Right.
Absolutely. So yes, we appreciate your time today.
Yeah, give me a follow. And thank you guys very much for allowing me to come on. I really appreciate it. I really hope that we can do this again.
Absolutely.
If you want to follow me on I just changed these, so I gotta I promise I'm gonna post more social media content soon. But you can follow me on Instagram at Castle Wrestling, and I am on X as well at Wrestle Castle.
Yes.
Very nice. And
please. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Well, that is going to wrap it up for this episode of the Opinion City podcast. For Coach Rolfenstein, Oleg the Usurper, Thor Squatch, Parmesan, I'm King Ralph. And remember, it's free to be royal, so be royal to each other. God bless, and we will see you guys next time.
On behalf of Wild LLC, this has been the Opinion City Podcast. It has been your pleasure.
Happy trails to you till we meet again.